just before 3 p.m. here in Bushnell, Florida on January 16th. I'm here in Bushnell to catch M604 with a pretty cool heritage unit in the lead, but before that we got this L743 coming southbound with a pretty sizable train after leaving Wildwood, bound for Winston Yard near Lakeland. About 30 minutes later, M604 would show up, with this manifest traffic bound for Waycross, Georgia, mainly being phosphate, with CSX 1850 in the lead, their Louisville and Nashville, or L&N heritage unit, one of my personal favorites, and the first heritage unit I actually ever caught on a CSX train. So it's pretty cool to see this thing here, with my camera battery very low, but somehow making it for the entire train. After M604, I'd have to head back home since I had work later in the evening, but I'd be back out a few days later, on January 19th, for some more rail fanning here in Bushnell, with some more very interesting trains. Setting up at the top of the curve near downtown Bushnell, and only after 20 minutes of waiting, my first train for the 19th would show up, being CSX I-177, intermodal traffic from Jacksonville's Duval Yard, bound for Winter Haven. This train rarely ever runs on the S line during the daylight, and today he was huge. I'm not too sure what caused him to go through here so late, passing at almost 1 p.m., but regardless, this was a very cool catch for me since I rarely ever see this train. He usually runs through here at about 2 or 3 in the morning, way out of my usual time frame, so seeing him here with some okay winter lighting was a very cool sight. With I-177's massive train finally cleared downtown Bushnell, it'd only be about 20 or so minutes before my next train would show up, who was originally ahead of the I-177, but got passed at the double tracking in Ocala. He'd be CSX B241-15, loaded potash from Chicago, Illinois off the Canadian National to Rockport Yard in Tampa. This train initially had Canadian National power, but got ripped somewhere up north, resulting in this pretty interesting lash-up with a CSX ET44AH and CSX 4720 and ST70AC with a bright blue paint job sporting the We Are One CSX program, introduced by the former CEO Joe Henricks, no longer the CEO, but his impact on the company still remains with this bright blue engine. Alrighty, we just got that B241, got the one CSX unit turning second on that. So that was cool. We're gonna stay here at Bushnell. Looks like there's an M452 coming up north. The S-Lines has been all over the place. There's a broken rail near Plant City. So that's, I don't know, things have been all over the place, but yeah, we got that late 177 and now that B241, and we should have an M452. And I'm hoping later we have something else coming, but I'm not sure. We'll see, but that was a cool shot though. After getting some gas and some food near the interstate, I would come back to the tracks and wait for about an hour for northbound M452 coming out of Hialeah Yard after working Winston, then approaching his next stops at Wildwood, Baldwin, and eventually ending at Waycross, Georgia, with a pretty interesting lash-up today, featuring an EMD ST70AC in the lead and two Jeep-3s, one a Jeep 40 and one a Jeep 38. I apologize for the focus being a little whack here. I'm trying out manual focus for the first time, and while most of the clips were really good, this was the kind of odd one out. So it's not bad, but definitely could be way better. After waiting for almost 3 hours at the M452, I get some good news, with a clear signal southbound at the south end of Bushnell, and hearing from friends that my target train for the day, CSX B82818, was departing Tampa after B241 entered the yard. So after a pretty good amount of waiting, and some really nice afternoon light, I'd see CSX M603 bound for Winston Yard. This M603 would have an ES40DC leading, and trailing behind him, an EMD SD40-3, numbered 4387. Pretty cool seeing that on this pretty short M603, who would meet the B828 at St. Catherine, about 7 miles south of Bushnell. It's 5:30 p.m. now. B828 called clear signal at this end of Bushnell coming north. So he's only one signal away from the south end right down there. So let's get this B828 with locomotive 3194 in the lead. One of CSX's really cool pride and service units. I caught this back in Folkestone in 2024, but my shot sucked. So I'm not counting that. I want to get a proper shot, and we lost some sunlight, but we're good now. So let's get ready for this B828 bound for the UP in Illinois. Alrighty, that was CSX B82819, 3194 in the lead. Waited since about noon for this train, and I'm glad it ended up running when it did. I was really hoping that it ran, you know, because I only had some amount of time today. I'm pushing my time, honestly, right now. But that was sick. Not only, you know, we saw that thing right now, we saw 4720 earlier on that B241, and then we saw L&N a few days ago. So, yeah, back-to-backs at Bushnell. That's what I like to see. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I can't wait to see more cool stuff like that, and I can't wait to get this video out for you guys. So, yeah. Stay tuned, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon.